I am a pretty risk-averse person. I know, quitting a 9 to 5 job without a job offer and being a risk-averse person doesn't really go together. Let me explain. Growing up, I was a reckless girl. I wasn't scared of anything really. I used to compete in figure skating and I would skate the ice on full speed to do a jump and take a bad fall. I would smile with a snake wrapped around my neck at zoo and freak my parents out. But as I grew older, I learned that being reckless without a plan comes with consequences. After graduating from elementary school, I started to get injury almost every year. Not only the injury itself was painful, the recovery was both physically and mentally draining. So, I quit. I gave up on competing in figure skating, which was the only thing I knew. It was everything for me. For good or worse, going through this pain made me more of a planned risk taker. Of course, I still take risks here and there. I moved to a different country all by myself at the age of 18, and 10 years later, I quit my corporate job without a job offer lined up or any other income source. But I learned to prepare to take smart risks so that I have higher chance of getting the ideal outcome. And today I want to talk about the things I went over in order for me to prepare to quit my job, and also I want to share things that I wish I had known before quitting. First thing first, let's talk about money. When I first started to think about quitting my 9 to 5 job, the first thing I did was to understand my financial situation and calculate how much I need in order to quit my 9 to 5 job. I'm privileged because I don't have any kids, I didn't have any debts or loans, I have a boyfriend, but we are both financially independent, so I don't have anyone relying on me financially. So that made it easier for me to come up with these estimates, and the chances are my estimates are so much lower than people who have dependents. The amount of savings you need in order to quit your job is totally up to your lifestyle and situation, but personally I recommend you to have at least 6 months worth of saving, and of course it's better if you have 1 year or longer worth of savings. Basically, the longer the better. For me, luckily, I was able to save enough money that should last for at least 2 years. And now I want to share some tips that help you save enough money faster in order for you to quit 9 to 5 job. If you live close to the city, relocation is one of the great options to lower your living cost. For me, I moved out of Tokyo and now my rent is half the price. And I think it's like 7 times bigger in terms of space, so I'm saving a lot of money on rent. On top of that, I'm saving on dining out and cafe experiences because when I lived in Tokyo, my apartment was so small that I felt like getting out of my house and going to a cafe here and there to get some work done was more of a necessity. Now that I have more space, it's easier for me to create a comfortable living space, and I don't really feel the need to go to a cafe anymore, which is saving me a lot of money. Relocation is a great option, but I know that it's not easy and it's not for everyone. If relocation is not an option, try to find a way to lower your fixed cost. Maybe you can find a cheap apartment, or maybe you can move in with your friends or family members in order to save your rent. Someone in the comment section said, why not buying a cheap house instead of paying rent every month? But I think it's exactly the mindset you don't want to have if you want to quit your 9 to 5 job without much of a plan. Well, unless you have more than enough money. The more liquid assets you have, the longer time you have until you figure out your next step. So focus on saving cash, avoid purchases that require big upfront payments, and of course, don't buy things that you don't have money for. Don't start a YouTube channel or start selling courses or services unless you have experience or you already have a big audience. You've probably seen some videos on YouTube that talk about how you should start selling courses or you should start a YouTube channel in order for you to save enough money to quit 9 to 5 job. In many cases, those people have a teaching business where they teach you and help you how to start a YouTube channel or how to sell courses. In reality, they take months of time investments in the beginning, and it's so much harder than it looks like. Now, if it's a passion project, you should definitely go for it. But my point is, if your priority here is to save money fast, it's better to focus on the work that guarantee you the extra income. I have a video where I talk about 12 small money saving habits, so make sure to check that out as well. If you run out of money, what are the options? When I was thinking about quitting, I was imagining a lot of different scenarios and what ifs. And I don't recommend you to get too deep into this because you can literally come up with infinity amount of what ifs. But one question you can ask yourself is, if you run out of your savings, what are the options that are available for you to make enough money? I thought about them back then and I thought, okay, maybe one option for me is to work at a cafe nearby because luckily there are many job openings available at cafes and restaurants around my area. Quick side note, fortunately, Japanese job market is not that competitive. There are more jobs than workers and it's been that way for many years. Other option for me can be teach English to kids, or maybe I can sell clothes at Uniqlo or something. My first ever job in my life was at a clothing brand owned by the same company as Uniqlo, and that was honestly the most fun job I've ever done in my life. So looks like I have multiple options in case I run out of my savings. When I noticed that I have all these options, I didn't feel as scared as before because obviously there are a lot of people who make a living from working at a cafe or restaurants or clothing shops. I know it's such an obvious thing, but I think when you're too deep in the corporate world, it almost feels like that's the only way you can make money. But in reality, there are so many different kinds of jobs that require less time and less pressure that you can make a living of. Even though I made sure that I have enough savings and I thought about all the scenarios and what ifs, I still felt the money anxiety and it lasted for I would say 5 to 6 months. But after 7 months, weird thing happened. My money anxiety kind of disappeared. And by the way, I'm not making any money from this YouTube channel yet. I think if everything goes well, my first check will come in April and I can't wait to share that with you guys when the day comes. When I think about the reasons why my money anxiety disappeared, I think there are two reasons. One, the amount of money I spend in daily basis turned out to be so much lower than I estimated. And as I get used to this lifestyle, my living expense is actually becoming lower and lower. Two, I'm becoming more and more comfortable with my new identity. In the beginning, I almost felt ashamed to tell anyone that I'm unemployed and I don't have any job or any solid plan lined up. But little by little, I was able to embrace and accept my new identity, and I'm gonna share more about that later in the video. Watch out for tax and insurance. Before quitting, I made an estimate of all the tax and insurance I'm gonna have to pay, but even after that, it still didn't feel good to see $440 disappearing from my bank account every single month for my insurance. And on top of that, I need to continue paying residence tax, which is almost the same amount as my rent. Before quitting, do some research to see if there are anything you can do to save on your tax and insurance. For insurance, of course, it's not like it's cheaper the better. You still need to have the coverage that you're looking for, but try to do some research and see if you can find a better option. Why do you want to quit? What do you want to do after quitting? These are the questions that you can ask yourself before quitting your job, and I think the answers can help you guide to the ideal life that you envision. Now, I'm not saying that you need to know what exactly you want to do for your career next. Maybe you want to take time at home in order to recover from burnout. Maybe you want to spend quality time with your family to improve the relationship. Maybe you want to travel around the world to experience something different. Your answer can be anything. But I think the knowing why is very important because you can always look back on your why when you feel lost on this new chapter of your life you're about to enter. Once you enter the corporate world, your job, your title, your company becomes your identity. I had a customer facing role, so I used to say my job title, what I do, and my company name in order for me to introduce myself to a client, and I did that pretty much every single day. What I realized after quitting is that my job was a way bigger part of my identity than I thought. All of a sudden, I was nobody. No job title, no company name, nothing. It's just me. But I was confused because I didn't know who I am. And it took a long time for me to finally kind of find myself again and become who I really am today. If you follow this path, you probably will face identity crisis like I did. So if you find yourself going through the identity crisis, don't worry, everybody goes through that. It takes time to rediscover yourself and find out who you truly are again, but it is an amazing feeling to figure that out. Once you get there, I promise you, you will not regret the identity crisis you went through. If you're quitting your 9 to 5 job, you're probably looking for some sort of answer. What do I want to do next? What's my passion? Can I make a living out of passion? Finding those answers can take so much longer than you think, and there's a chance that you will never find those answers. But one thing I'm sure about is that there are life lessons that you can only learn from this path that you have chosen. I hope we will both enjoy the journey we're on, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!